people, it's Tracy Reed here today, back with my March edition of Project Life, and I just wanted to talk about something a little bit before I started. So this month I am doing something a little bit different. The last 2 months I basically built my layouts around a specific collection to make it easy, and this month, instead of doing that, I wanted to use up some scraps from my Cocoa Daisy collections, including my DIY Your Scraps cards that I have been making this year with the most recent Cocoa Daisy collections. So what I did, I wanted to talk about how I approached this because I used multiple collections. I used January, February, I don't think I actually used any February, but definitely January, March, and April for this collection, and he even pulled in just a little bit of the solstice collection from last September, and I wanted to talk about how I made that work. So the first thing that I did after I printed my pictures and decided what stories I wanted to tell was I chose the DIY Your Scraps cards that I wanted to use to tell my story. So there were a few that really worked for the stories that I wanted to tell. So I chose them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, specifically for this layout. And then once I had them chosen, I then went ahead and chose regular journaling cards, which you can't really see this one, but there's a journaling one, there's this one, there's another quote card under here. Regular journaling cards to tell more of the story with sentiments that maybe worked with what I wanted to do. So once that was done, I sort of had a base color scheme to work with. Luckily, most of Cocoa Daisy's products kind of coordinate with each other. There are outliers that definitely are not in their typical color palette range, but I mean, this was from, I think, last November, and you can see that it matches this patterned paper from the March collection of this year very well. So because of that, I was able to pull from Cocoa Daisy products generally to pull together this spread. So I knew I had this sort of peachy pink color, I had this red and a lot of blue and green that I needed to work with. So I went through the paper scraps that I had left over from my Cocoa Daisy collections, and I just started pulling in papers that I knew would work. What I specifically had a little bit of an issue with was this card from the January collection this year. I think it was New Chapters was the name. It has purple in it, and while normally I don't mind if there's just like a splash of a different color in this in my page, I was feeling a little bit concerned by these purpley pinks. So what I ended up doing was pulling in another card from that same collection that has the purples and the pinks in it as well. But you can see if I take this out that a lot of the colors from the New Chapter collection are mimicked in later collections as well. So we have these blues and these greens, reds that are the same. The only thing that's really different from the other colors that I chose were these pinks and purples. So the last thing that I did, I wanted just a touch more purple because this purple in this card wasn't quite enough. I actually pulled in some purple from the Solstice collection as well. I think it's called Solstice. The September collection from last year as well. So this will actually, the majority of it will get covered up, and you won't even be able to tell that there's constellations on it. But this purple matches this purple and this purple really well, and it pulls it across the page. And that's sort of my trick for color matching when you are trying to use multiple collections on one spread, is make sure that if you have an outlier color like this purple, it is also on the other side of the spread as well. That way it looks like it was on purpose, basically. It looks like you were just adding that splash of purple in there on purpose so that it doesn't look like you just have like this random wrong color. Anyway, so that is where I'm starting with this spread. I'm gonna go ahead and go over to the voiceover now and start working quickly, but I wanted to talk about my process when using multiple collections in one spread. All right, here we go. Okay, so I'm actually going to attack this spread a little bit differently than I have been approaching my spreads this year. And I have been going basically card by card, one at a time, and moving through my spread that way. But I'm actually going to keep this whole video dialed out, and I'm going to work on the entire spread all at once. So you can see I have my photos and my journaling already ready, plus the cards that I have chosen for this spread. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to create the collages on each one of these cards using the photos and the cards that I've chosen. And then I'm going to start working on the embellishments. And I find that sometimes with a wide view like this, especially when I'm trying to make sure that everything matches and I'm incorporating a bunch of different product, I find that with a wide view, it's easier to make sure everything feels balanced and is working together than if I am working card by card. Card by card really works if you know all your products are going to match and you have everything sort of worked out ahead of time. But I'm not there because I'm just trying to still make things match with this spread. So I need a photo mat for these two photos. I want them grouped together since they are telling the same story, and actually technically the whole story is being told by the two 3x4s above it as well, because I'm going to talk about how I feel like a taxi and I spend most of my time in the car driving people around in circles. There's actually a lot of car stories this month because we got a couple of our vehicles fixed, and Josiah has started studying for his permit test, which he actually got the day that I made this spread. He got his permit that day, which go Joe, watch out everybody else. And then there's a story about me driving around in circles, and then there's actually a photo over there on the right of Finn loading dog food from a car. So it's funny how sometimes themes emerge in your months that you don't realize at the time, because obviously I spend a lot of time in the car anyway, so I don't really notice how much of my time is in the car. But it's funny the themes that emerge when you start pulling the pictures together. One thing that I did this spread that is a little bit new is I used that large photo in the middle there at the top as the card instead of using a card for that page. I really liked that photo, but I used it as a background because I really liked the picture-in-picture effect of putting the closer up photo right on top of it. That's kind of the effect I was going for. So now I have moved on from the collage portion of the page and putting the cards together, and now I am embellishing. So I turned off the camera because I find it's easier for me to think if I'm not on a timer or wasting film, as it were. So I turned off the camera and pulled out a bunch of embellishments that I thought would work for this page, and now I am just placing them one by one across the page, making sure everything gets stuck down. Again, these are all Cocoa Daisy embellishments. I'm just trying to kill my stash a bit because I have basically only the 2021 product out on my desk, but I have been accumulating any leftovers and sort of stashing them all together, and so it's getting to be quite the buildup. So I'm wanting to make sure that I stash bust throughout the year so that I'm using my product and not just letting it cycle into my stash, because I did clean out a bunch of stash at the end of last year. And I had so much extra product that I ended up giving away that it sort of made me feel a little bit bad. So I don't want to waste product. So I pulled out another card for this title card, and I'm going to use it just as a collage behind this card, which I am doing my standard cut into a banner, just to sort of spread it out a little bit and create more
of a larger cluster on this page. And I'm actually going to use the washi tape at the top as well, which I sort of cut off center. So I'm going to have to replace it so that it's not crooked. But I like the rainbow effect it added at the top of that. It was a nice unexpected rainbow up there. And so I'm sort of getting close to done now. So I've added in more journaling that needed to be done. And now I'm sort of adding the decorative embellishments. And I thought that these clouds from the Poppy Fields collection would be cute in the sky up there. And then I wanted to add in some more of this purple. So I had that purple arrow half circle, but it didn't really fit anywhere. So I added that purple heart instead. And I was feeling like this was just a touch off balanced on the left-hand side there with the colors as well. So I'm actually going to rearrange some of the cards here in a second because I felt like the left column on the left-hand side was sort of too blue and the right column was too red. So I'm going to sort of separate out some of those cards so that the colors are a little bit more consistent. Just adding in arrows and hearts and paper clips and just basically anything that is just going to add a little bit of pop to this. I wanted to add in a little bit more green because there is some pops of green, but other than the pops of green, there wasn't a lot of green throughout the spread, so I'm just adding in some of that as well. And then I'm going to add titles too. So that's the last thing I'm going to do is start adding in some titles to these cards. I don't always title my cards, but these felt like they needed titles. So this one's going to say Mom's Taxi. And then up there on the motorcycle photo, it says Yay. And then I need to add I'm going to add for this, I believe. There we go. Now I've rearranged. I knew I was going to do it at some point. I'm going to add yay for this on that card. So I'm just going to handwrite for this. That says together at Sportsing all together. We are not sports parents, but apparently we are sports parents because Joe joined the track team. I put oh no for his learning to drive. And then right here in the middle of this, I'm going to put go Joe go. And then we are just about done here. I think I got one more title, which says Do Good. Then a couple more embellishments, and I am all done. Yep. So if you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. If you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Tracy M. Reed. I'd love to see you over there as well. I hope this gave you some ideas for your own stash busting and how to make things work together, even if they aren't necessarily meant to go together. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and I will see you next time. All right. Thank you.